Jake Paul, I mean, as of right now, for what he's doing, it's good for what he's doing. But once he fights a real fighter, it's going to be bad.
If that fight ends up being close,
yes,
a lot of people are going to watch that fight, right?
A lot, because I think a lot of people are going to want to see Jake Paul lose, and
100%.
Floyd Mayweather has criticized the idea of Jake Paul fighting Canelo Alvarez, stating Jake would get demolished. Mayweather argued that while Jake looks impressive against YouTubers and non-boxers, he would struggle against real fighters. He believes that once Jake faces an elite boxer like Canelo, it's game over.
Have you been impressed?
But one thing I like about him, one thing I do like about him, he's selling it. He's selling it, and he's making good money, and he's entertaining. I like it.
Is he? And Floyd, there are many people who believe you're the most talented fighter ever. Period. So whatever you say to this question, I think is important. Are you impressed? Does he have boxing ability, or is he just an entertainer who has a lot of fans and can promote a fight and has fought lesser opponents, or is he actually talented?
As long as he continues to fight MMA guys and YouTubers, he's gonna continue to look good and shine. But once he fights a real fighter that can really fight, it's not gonna be that good.
Does he have the ability, with what you've seen, to continue to mold himself into somebody who can actually? He told me before his goal is to fight Canelo, so that's where his mindset's at.
He get fucked up by Canelo. Oh, I'm sorry, it's TMZ.
You can curse.
I apologize, but
no apologize.
There's no way he get demolished. But for what he's doing, as long as they keep getting YouTubers and keep putting them in there with MMA guys.
Canelo Alvarez is known as one of the smartest businessmen in boxing, taking fights not just for competition, but for massive paydays. Jake Paul believes this is why Canelo will eventually fight him, consistently branding himself as the biggest entertainer in boxing. Jake argues that people tune in to watch him, whether to see him win or get knocked out. He believes his ability to generate pay-per-view sales is why top fighters like Canelo will eventually have to face him. Jake asserts that a bout between him and Canelo would be a financial success, generating millions of dollars for both fighters and attracting massive attention.
I think it's very, very realistic. And people may think that sounds crazy, but Canelo is a smart businessman, and at the end of the day, he wants to do big fights and make, entertainment, make huge entertainment products. And my skill set is improving every single day, and that's what doing fights like this are about, taking on real professional fighters, so that eventually I could take on tougher fighters, and I see Canelo versus Jake Paul happening in the next 24 months. It just makes so much sense, and also people forget that I'm 200 pounds, I have a size advantage. All of these things that start to add up, which make it such an interesting fight that I fully believe I'll win. There's the KSIs, the Tommy Furies, the Nate Diaz MMA fight, but I don't know if these guys actually want to put it on the line. We've tried to make a Floyd fight happen. Floyd's ducked it. So I don't know if these guys really want to take a risk.
Jeff Mayweather, another respected voice in boxing, completely dismissed the idea of Jake Paul fighting Canelo Alvarez. He stated that nobody in the sport would take the matchup seriously, calling it unrealistic. Jeff even joked that Jake might as well claim he wants to fight Muhammad Ali. In his opinion, Jake is living in a fantasy world, constantly calling out top-level boxers without proving himself against real competition. Jeff believes Canelo would never accept the fight, as it would lack any real competition, and would be a mismatch from the start.
All right, here with Jeff Mayweather. Jeff, appreciate you taking the time. Unfortunately, the Hasim Rahman Jr. Jake Paul fight has been canceled. Jake said something very interesting, though. He said that the big fight out there right now is Canelo, and he said, hey, Canelo can be beat. Bivol gave the blueprint, and I'm just like Bivol. I have the same powers, similar attributes, speed, elusiveness. He's basically I don't want to say carbon copy, but he's very similar to Bivol, so he would match up favorably with Canelo. Hard to argue. He's undefeated so far, and boxers are ducking him. What do you think?
Well, maybe. Why don't he just fight Bivol then? Canelo's already fight somebody.
Yeah,
Triple G.
Canelo's the money, right?
Not anymore.
He's more money than B-Ball,
Probably more money than
especially if he beats Triple G.
Yeah, I mean, he's still probably more money than. But I mean, the thing is that I mean, nobody's even gonna take that serious. I mean, you can say all you want to. I mean, you can say you can fight Muhammad Ali. You can say you can fight whoever. I mean, ain't nobody taking that serious.
But why not Canelo? So Canelo wants money fights. Jake is, it's pretty undeniable. He's the hottest prospect in boxing right now. He's undefeated. He's also one of the biggest draws in boxing. So why would that not be a fight to make? Or do you think that's something Canelo figures that's, it would look bad if he didn't come through positively in that fight?
I think that it's a fight that Jake is just yelling just to make himself look like he's legitimate. But, of course, he has a coach that would never let him fight Canelo.
You wouldn't favor him in that fight against Canelo?
The topic was discussed on Ariel Helwani's podcast, where it was reinforced that Jake Paul versus Canelo Alvarez is not happening. They bluntly stated that there is no scenario where this fight could take place. It's not just unlikely, it's impossible.
YouTube influencer versus pound for pound great being the hang up in the fight, being the one that stops the momentum. Because it's not happening. There is no world.
Okay, then let me ask
May
you
I be
this.
struck by lightning right now if this is possible?
Wow, a lightning bet.
If this happens,
Right.
if this happens.
There's just no way. There is no way.
Wait. If what happens? If the fight happens, or if the upset of
if
the
Jake
century
Paul,
happens?
If Jake Paul derails Terrence Crawford versus Canelo by
All credit to
beating
Then
Canelo,
you book
there's
Jake
no
Paul
chance.
versus Terrence Crawford.
Zero.
Okay, let
None.
me ask you this. If that fight ends up being close,
Yes.
a lot of
It
people
won't.
are going to watch that fight, right?
A
of people
lot,
Yes.
because I think a lot of people are going to want to
Let's-
see Jake Paul lose, and
100%.
Let
Canelo's going to
Alvarez
do
is
this.
gonna be like a
Canelo would
maybe.
do this, and we're
let's
just talking.
backtrack. Let's backtrack to your first question, which is interest. I'm very interested because, as I've long said, I'm on this corner. I only care about Jake Paul in spectacles. It would be an absolute spectacle to see a pound for pound. First, he did Mike Tyson, which, and I'm not going all the way back, but I'm saying in his most recent outing, Mike Tyson, an all-time legend, a pop culture icon, versus Jake Paul is a spectacle. Now you're going the opposite direction to nearly in his prime. We'll say maybe like he's on the back nine, but he's still close to his prime. He's still a top 5 pound for pound on pretty much anybody's list fighter. Going against Jake Paul, I'm in for the spectacle. I'm in. I don't think Jake Paul has a chance in hell, but I'm in for the spectacle.
And how long has he been beating the drum on this? He's been saying he's going to do this forever.
They believe Jake is living in a fantasy if he thinks he can step into the ring with Canelo. Former world champion Carl Froch also weighed in, warning that if this fight actually happens, things will get messy. Froch, a vocal critic of Jake Paul's boxing career, strongly believes Jake lacks the skill to face someone like Canelo. He stated that Jake would be completely outclassed and could even get hurt. Froch emphasized that Canelo is a ruthless fighter who doesn't go easy on his opponents. If Jake steps into the ring with Canelo, he won't just lose, he will be seriously exposed.
He'd mentioned me before, and there'll be people out there saying, oh, Carl Froch's talking about himself, he's after a payday. Listen, I'm not after a payday. I'm doing all right. There's no problems with my finances. But I'll take the fucking payday, of course I will. And I'll end Jake Paul with one punch. I'd go in there one-armed and beat this guy. He can't box. He's absolutely fucking useless, which we saw last night with Mike Tyson. Talking about Canelo Alvarez. I've not mentioned Canelo Alvarez because it's just laughable. Jake Paul, Canelo Alvarez, can you imagine? I mean, Jake Paul fancies that and he jumps in the ring with him. I will pay homage to him because fair play, if he jumps in there with Canelo Alvarez, he'll get absolutely fucking destroyed and it will be fast and it will be messy and it will be bad for his health as well, potentially.
Despite the widespread doubt from boxing analysts, Jake Paul's trainer has hinted that an official announcement about Jake facing Canelo is coming very soon. This statement has sparked speculation that the fight might actually happen, even though many believe it would be a mismatch. Some fans think Jake is bluffing to generate media attention, while others feel there may be some truth to the rumors. Either way, his trainer's comments have definitely fueled the growing speculation.
Jake Paul could be fighting next.
I can't give you the insight. I can't give you the insight. Just know that announcement coming real soon. Real soon.
Let me ask you a question then. Obviously, you're not going to tell me. You keep moving.
If Jake Paul versus Canelo Alvarez is scheduled for May, experts believe Jake won't have enough time to adequately prepare. Boxing analysts point out that Jake needs months of training just to reach the proper weight class and get in shape for a fight against someone like Canelo. Given the tight timeline, it seems highly unlikely that Jake will be ready to face a fighter of Canelo's caliber by May. Even if the fight were set later in the year, many still believe Jake wouldn't be able to close the significant skill gap between him and Canelo, regardless of how much time he has to train.
You said that you'd like to go up against Canelo Alvarez. What gives you the right to call out a 59-2 boxer, one of the greatest of all time, when you've not yet proven yourself?
I'm predicting what's going to happen
In
3
the
more years from
3
now.
years, so 3
I'm going to
years.
get to his skill level and beat him. I have one of the greatest self-belief systems in the world, and I know what I'm capable of. And with this new team, I can give Canelo a serious run for his money.
Would you ever do like exhibitions like that, or like people like Jake Paul call you out, or these like other big stars? Like, is that business-wise like even worth it?
When I'm done with boxing, why not? Maybe I do it. I think it's
Like when you're done like competing at the highest
Yeah.
level, you're saying?
Yeah, I think it's good because what happened there is other people who never watch boxing, or they don't know anything about boxing, they wanna watch Jake Paul because he's coming from he bring fans from other world, right?
Yeah.
That's good because everybody enjoy it.
Would you ever entertain that idea when you're done?
Maybe.
Most boxing analysts agree that if this fight happens, it won't last long. Many believe Canelo would knock Jake out in the first round. Jake is attempting to step into the ring with one of the sport's greatest boxers, and the consensus is that he's not ready for such a challenge. If the fight does take place, fans should not expect it to go beyond the opening rounds.
Do you have a call out in mind, or are you kind of just gonna see where it takes?
No, I mean, I do. It's Canelo. This moment will prove that I'm the face of boxing, the largest attraction. Me versus Canelo at 200 pounds for the cruiserweight championship is the biggest fight, arguably even bigger than me versus Tyson, and it makes so much sense. And, you know, Canelo's on his way out. He's going to want a payday, and I want to show the world that all the shit I've been talking about beating Canelo is actually true, and I'll have the biggest upset in the sport of boxing, and we will fight to really see who is the face. After this event, I'm going to be claiming it. I beat his gate record. So I'm beating the ticket sales, all of that stuff. So I'm going to be the new money man.
Joe Rogan has consistently praised Canelo Alvarez, particularly highlighting his punching power and defensive awareness. Rogan has called Canelo one of the most dangerous fighters in the world, emphasizing how he controls every aspect of a fight. He's pointed out that Canelo's precision, footwork, and counter-punching abilities make him a nightmare for any opponent. For someone like Jake Paul, with limited experience, Rogan's endorsement only reinforces the idea that Canelo is on another level. His analysis further proves that Jake Paul has no business stepping into the ring with a fighter of Canelo's caliber.
This is very fucking dangerous. Very dangerous.
There's always somebody coming right
Yeah.
behind you. And these guys who've been at the top so long, you're like, all right, let me get somebody that's on my level. Canelo,
Yeah.
he's been in the game just as long as me. And all right, let's just do this for this paycheck and then move on.
I think when they get to a certain level and they realize they only have a few fights left, they want the big money fights. And Canelo is obviously the biggest money fight. Even though Boots Ennis is a great fighter, most people don't know who he is yet.
Yeah.
And with Canelo, everybody knows who Canelo is. If you get the Canelo fight, that's red panties night. If Jake Paul wasn't Jake Paul, if he wasn't this YouTube guy, he was just a boxer, and you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever, knock him out with one punch like that, like, oh man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? He's fucking for real. Because nothing about watching him fight, to me, screams like he's in over his head. Nothing. He looks like a real boxer.
Although most boxing experts have dismissed the idea of Jake Paul fighting Canelo Alvarez, the mere possibility of the fight happening has left many fans shocked. Jake has spent years making bold claims, including saying that Canelo needs him for a big payday. With rumors now circulating about a potential fight, people are starting to wonder if it could actually take place. Regardless of whether the fight happens, Jake has successfully generated hype around the possibility, showcasing his talent for creating buzz, something he's proven to do best.
Champion. And then for your girlfriend Yuta to win Olympic gold.
Yeah, we just have all the belts
That's insane.
in the world.
That's crazy.
And then we should just retire after that.
So look, are you happy with your performance in the fight? Are you happy with the way the night went down.
I wish he would have, like put up a better fight, so then I could have like risen more and done more. And like he was surviving.
He was.
So
Before you went out.
Worked up. But I think that everybody just wants him to win, wanted Mike to win. But
dude, people really don't like us, Jake. People really want to see you get knocked out.
yeah, what did I ever do to anyone?
Well, you climbed on top of the KTLA news van.
Hilarious.
You wasted the government's money.
How?
Because the FBI had to raid your house.
They wasted their own money. They wasted their own money. Like, why would they do that? I didn't. And then, like, nothing ever came from it. They didn't even know what they were doing there.
Jake Paul has consistently voiced his thoughts on Canelo Alvarez, claiming in past interviews that Canelo is ducking him and afraid to fight because Jake brings more attention to boxing. While most boxing experts dismiss these claims as ridiculous, Jake continues to push the narrative that Canelo needs him more than he needs Canelo. Whether Jake genuinely believes this or is simply hyping himself up, it's clear that he's doing everything he can to keep his name connected to Canelo Alvarez, knowing that the attention benefits both his career and the sports media buzz.
You really need to stop. I hope you don't think that you're ready for some guy like Canelo Alvarez, though. You ain't that crazy, are you?
I am beyond
Please don't
ready.
tell me that.
I am beyond ready. In all
Come
fucking
on,
seriousness,
Jay,
I
come on.
beat Canelo
God,
Alvarez.
Stephen A., you're just not happy with anything. First, you're like getting there with a real opponent, and then you're like, oh, you don't think you're not ready for Canelo? You're not that crazy. Well, make up your mind.
Hold on. Excuse me. What is your name again?
My name is Julia.
Julia. Okay, I appreciate your passion. Thank you very much, but I have to say this to you. There is a middle ground. I mean, you can't sit up there and say I'm not happy with anything because I'm paying get in with a real boxer. But in the same breath, I'm like, you ain't ready for a world champion. But I mean, that's not an insult. I'm not insulting you. I'm not saying you'll never be ready for him. But you don't go from fighting UFC fighters to Canelo Alvarez.
But I'm beating world champions in sparring.
Okay, I didn't know that.
That's what I'm saying. And so, but this is what they say fight a real boxer, and then I'm like, all right, give me Canelo, and then they're like, you're crazy, shut the up. So it's kind of like, what do I do?
You fight someone lower
So-
than
so-
Canelo's
so-
crazy.
so-
But the thing is Canelo is old. Canelo is looking like he could barely beat Triple G, who's
TalkSport hosts have weighed in on the possibility of Jake Paul fighting Canelo Alvarez, dismissing the idea as a joke.
Paul, let's have it right, guys. You know, I mean, you're talking about Jake Paul calling out granddads in Mike Tyson, and that fight, you know, you look at that where Mike Tyson could barely walk up the steps at the time, and it became evident when we was out there.
You were bloody championing it.
Yeah, that's before I got out there, Simon, and saw the state of Mike Tyson. If I'm totally honest, he weren't in the greatest of health, but and he done his job, and we saw.
Yeah,
you know, Jake.
But it is a fair argument, Spence. I know that what you're saying it has validity to it as well. But if you put Jake Paul in a ring with a bona fide all-time great, you're discrediting the sport. You're making it about something that's not competitive. This is just money. It's taking the mickey out of the fans, and it's giving Jake Paul some validity by association. That's what it's doing, and that's why people will say, "Come on now, that's taking boxing in the wrong direction."
So, I mean, you're right. It puts boxing into disrepute in many ways, if I'm totally honest, because like you say, it's sort of disrespecting the sport. Jake Paul and what he's doing and all this stuff with UFC fighters and ex-champions that are 60 plus, great. There's a home for that. You know, Jake Paul's fans will like that. That's a different era we're talking about, a different fan base that we're talking about. Canelo going in with Jake Paul. Where does Jake Paul earn the right to box Canelo?
Exactly.
Let's have it right here.
Yeah.
We're talking about a modern day great, and we're talking about a current world champion. How does Jake Paul fit into that top 10? We're talking about Adam Azim, who's like, you know, a legitimate great world-class fighter who's not even in WBC top 10.
They believe the fight is unnecessary, arguing that boxing doesn't need it. According to them, it's more about hype and entertainment than true competitive boxing.
3 years ago when I was calling out Nate Diaz and all of these big names, Anderson Silva, all of these people, and they said, you don't have the right to call them out. And then I manifested it, got the skill in the gym, got to their level and above, and then beat them. It's literally just, I'm repeating the playbook now. I'm predicting what's going to happen 3 more years from now.
So 3
I'm going to get to his skill level,
and beat him. And I have a weight advantage, a size advantage, a height advantage, a reach advantage. And he's super skilled. I just went 10 rounds. Me and Canelo can go 10 rounds. Like, come on.
You face off with Canelo today. What happens?
I would lose. But in 2 years, I have one of the greatest self-belief systems in the world. And I know what I'm capable of. And with this new team, the experience I'm getting in the ring under the lights, I believe in 2 years, I can give Canelo a serious fucking run for his money.
Your prediction for the fight? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to check out more videos for the latest updates right here on Fight Night Vibes.